Welcome back to BetterAvecBourbon. Today we'll be trying a bottle of whiskey that's type is rising in prominence, the American Single Malt, specifically Westland American Oaks, American Single Malt Whiskey. The proper process of testing the quality of a whiskey is two-step. Sniffing the whiskey, usually done from a whiskey snifter like a Glencairn, where the nose of the whiskey is controlled, and tasting, where you want to see what flavors and nuances you can pick up, as well as determine the mouthfeel. How long does it linger? And how dry does it make your mouth? When people think of American whiskey, they typically think of bourbon or rye, but this is in a class of its own, and closer to Scotch if anything. In this video, I'll look to answer what is an American Single Malt, how does it differ from Scotch, and whether I'd recommend this bottle or American Single Malt more generally. Start by getting a bottle, your favorite tasting glass, preferably a Glencairn, and let's explore a new frontier of whiskey. Starting off, what is an American Single Malt? It's a whiskey made at one American distillery, a single distillery, using 100% malted barley and bottled at above 80 proof, or 40% ABV. Scotch is a little bit more specific, as to be a Scotch single malt it has to use 100% malted barley at a single distillery using a pot still, and must age for a minimum of 3 years. But most Scotch single malts age for a minimum of 12. Westland is unique as similar to Scotch, it also uses a pot still and is peated. Where it really starts to differ is the aging process and the malts used, referred to as the grain bill. The cask types are Cooper's Reserve New American Oak, Cooper's Reserve Used American Oak, First Fill Ex Bourbon, First Fill Ex Olorosa, Hogsheads, and Butts. Olorosa is a type of dry sherry for those unfamiliar. And lastly, Second Fill Ex Olorosa, Hogshead, and Butts. Sherry is usually made in American white oak or French oak, so there's a lot of different types of oak used in the aging here, but primarily we're looking at American oak. The maturation period here is 40 months. This is a little over 3 years, which is significantly less time than Scotch, which other than blends tends to hang out around 12 years. The aging process here is quite similar with the standard Scotch, like the Glenlivet 12, where it spends time in European oak before being transferred into American oak. The shortened aging time, however, will result in less tannins extracted from the oak and a thinner whiskey with thinner, chaotic legs when you swirl it around your glass. For the grain bill, there's 6 to consider: Washington Select Pale Malt, Munich Malt, Extra Special Malt, Pale Chocolate Malt, Brown Malt, and Baird's Heavily Peated Malt. Now for the taste. These are the tasting notes listed from their website, where you can also read more here. For your nose, custard filling, marionberry compote, maple brittle, and toasted marshmallow. In order to get the nose, you'll be swirling your whiskey around in the Glencairn. This will help you pick up good and bad notes with better accuracy than smelling either the nose of the bottle, where it's far too concentrated, or a typical glass where the mouth allows in a lot of air, making for a softer smell. As a non-professional whiskey sniffer, I do get some toasted marshmallow, oakiness from the barrel, and very subtle smoke. For the taste for your palate, what's listed on the website is almond nougat, creme brulee, black tea, white flower petals, and malted milk balls. For taste, I get the almond, but primarily I get a chocolate cocoa flavor mixed with a cereal-like oaky taste. There is a slight peaky, smoky element, but less than you'd expect from a whiskey modeled after Scotch when compared to something like Japanese whiskey. The mouthfeel is also mild, and I prefer the taste to linger for longer. I do really enjoy this whiskey. Having shared it with a few people, particularly those that aren't huge Scotch drinkers, it's a very approachable alternative. That being said, for something that's priced higher than most 12-year Scotches, I'm not convinced American Single Malt has the pedigree to command a steeper price for something that takes a quarter of the time to produce. If you have the opportunity to try some, I'd recommend it, but overall I think Scotch is a better value packed with more complexity. If there's a type of video or spirit you'd like to see next, let me know in the comments below. Thanks to everyone for watching, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.